Welcome to the Fantasy Draft Weekly Rundown. Joining me, as always, is co-host and NFL Ironman London Fletcher. London, what do you make of this firing of Pep Hamilton? Let's start there. The new hire, Rob Chudzinski, of course, coached the Browns to a 4-12 record in 2013. But remember, he was also the coach for the historic rookie season for Cam Newton, who came on firing. If you remember that 400-yard opener. Do you like this move, and how do you think this affects the Colts offense?
I, I think Pep Hamilton is a scapegoat here. You fired him. He's a guy who has done some really good things in the past few years that he's been with the Colts. I know they're looking for some type of spark for that team and that offense, but to fire Pep Hamilton, I think was definitely a move that wasn't that I don't necessarily agree with. Now, with that being said, as far as it relates to Chudzinski, whatever Chud, I'll just call him Chud. I think he's a good offensive coordinator. He's proven his ability to adapt and adjust to different schemes. I would expect the tight ends to be involved a lot more in his type of system. He was a former tight end coach in Carolina, and also he's coached tight ends in the past other places. So they expect the tight ends to be more involved in the passing game, but also would expect them to maybe try to get a little bit more balance, not throw the football so much, maybe look to run the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, and regardless, honestly, this week they're going to be in trouble against the Broncos defense, who's allowed the least amount of fantasy points to quarterbacks. They've got probably the best combination of corners in Chris Harris Jr. and Aqib Talib. They're going to be rushing the passer against the Colts offensive line that's been struggling. So honestly, I'm just fading the whole Colts offense this week. I think they're going to be in a transition phase and in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, that would be a good idea just to at least especially going against the Broncos defense. I mean, we saw what they did to Aaron Rodgers. That was a thing of beauty, man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, exactly. And so this team been struggling. We saw Andrew Luck for the first three quarters, so I'm just avoiding. All right, let's get to the picks this week. At quarterback, I want to go Tom Brady, but I was working on roster construction, and you just really, it's difficult to do with him.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna.
he's very expensive.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting up there. He's getting to about the highest I've seen. So I'm going to go Tyrod Taylor at 10-4. He's back. He's way underpriced. I mean, this is a guy averaging 21.59 fantasy points. I think Brady was averaging about 29. So about an 8 fantasy point difference for $6,000. To me, that could be made up elsewhere. And he's rushed for at least 40 yards in 3 of his 5 games. He's thrown a touchdown in every game. So to me, that's pretty safe, even though he's going against the Miami defense that we know is revamped under Dan Campbell. I still think the numbers will be there, at least good enough for that price that you can put some talent around him. Who do you like?
I'm gonna go the Big Ben, man. I like Roethlisberger to come back and bounce back. I know he struggled last week against the Cincinnati Bengals, throwing 3 interceptions, but he gets to face an Oakland Raiders team. They're very much improved, but that pass defense is still the 31st ranked pass defense in the National Football League. So, I like Ben, and the weapons that he has. We look at, Antonio Brown had a big game last week against Cincinnati. So look to see Big Ben getting himself back together. Second game back from the injury, and also I'm gonna go with the surprise pick here, Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning. I like Manning going home to Indianapolis, which will more than likely be his last visit, I would assume, to Indianapolis in the regular season. More than probably even ever. I don't know if the Colts could end up getting a home playoff game, but I look at this as maybe Peyton starting to get himself going back. I know he didn't throw a touchdown against the Green Bay Packers, but he threw for over 300 yards and really started to. He made some good throws and looked comfortable. So I'm gonna say Peyton goes in there, man, and has a old Peyton Manning type of day.
That brings me to a question that I'll ask later, whether or not you believe in narrative. So you can let that one resonate for a little bit. But let's get to the running back situation. I'm just going to mention him briefly because he's a Thursday night slater. Is Jeremy Hill? Hugh Jackson basically said the arrow's pointing up on him. He's facing the Cleveland Browns. He's their kind of their running back, and we've gone over that they don't really allow catches. So I think Hill has a big day. But for the guys on the weekend slate, I think we're definitely on the same page in the Steelers' offense. They're kind of a concentrated offense in the fact that they run the ball with their studs, and we know Le'Veon Bell's out, but D'Angelo Williams the first few weeks was the top running back in fantasy football. He ran for 127 at a TD. He scored 3 touchdowns, and now he costs you 10,500. So I mean that's a no-brainer for me. And Mark Ingram. This one is a little difficult because Tennessee's not really that giving to running backs, but they've allowed the least amount of receptions to backs. So I don't think CJ Spiller is going to be involved. I think it's going to be a game where they pound it down their throat, and they have allowed 4 rushing touchdowns. So I think Ingram's there. He's had at least 14 carries in 4 of his last 5 games, which is equated to at least 18.80 fantasy points in each of those. So I think he's a safe bet. Who do you like?
I was also I'm pretty high on Mark Ingram. Going against Tennessee. We know the Titans have a really high ranked defense. I think maybe fourth or fifth in the league, but most of it is because of their prowess at stopping the pass. They're really toward near the bottom and stopping the run. You think about the game being in New Orleans, the Saints needing to win this game. They've gotten on the roll, gotten hot lately. So I like Mark Ingram. I also like Doug Martin, Tampa Bay's running back. Doug Martin, going against the New York Giants, man. The Giants and that run defense. The Giants haven't stopped anybody lately. I think the if they were still playing, the New Orleans Saints would still be running up and down the field and scoring points on them. But Doug Martin, he's had over 100 yards in 3 out of his last 4 games. I like him against the New York Giants.
Yeah, you gotta like anyone against the New York Giants. I think I could have scored touchdowns against them last week. That was like a video game. I have never seen anything like that. That was just absolutely crazy. But that's all for this part of the weekly rundown this week. Please stay tuned as we'll give you the wide receiver tight ends, and I'll roast London with the questions.